But what I wanted to look at is verse 29, and then all the way down to verse 31, 29, 30, 31. And it says this, Paul speaking to the church at Corinth. But this I say, brethren, the time is short. It remains that both they that have wives be though they had none, and they that weep as though they wept not, and they that rejoice as though they rejoice not, and they that buy as though they do not possess. And they that use this world as not abusing it, for the fashion of this world is passing away. In 1 Corinthians 7, 29 to 31. The time is short. This word time is the word kainos. And the word kainos means opportunities. The opportunities that you have in your life are getting smaller and smaller and smaller. You have fewer and fewer opportunities every single day in your life. Opportunities to do what? To invest in the stock market? Opportunities to buy low and sell high? Opportunities to choose the right curriculum for your future? Are those the opportunities the Lord is talking about? And actually, no. These are eternal opportunities. These are opportunities related to real life, what life is really about. And of course, we all have to go to work, and we all have to eat and all of that. I understand that. But I'm saying it cannot be the bullseye. It can't be, the crosshairs cannot be on that. It has to be on something else. So one is our opportunities are short, and really he has in mind that the Lord is coming back. This was written 2,000 years ago. So if Paul was convinced 2,000 years ago the Lord is coming back, how much more today? How much more? Take whatever the Lord's coming back, and let's say he's going to come back next year, or let's say 2 years to give us time to go on vacation before he comes. No, let's say he comes back in 2013. So Paul then, minus 2011, 2 years left. Right? 2,000 years, whatever the number is, we are so much closer than we have ever been. And David Wilkerson, he died. You know David Wilkerson? He wrote Sword and the Switchblade. Anyway, he was a famous, kind of the guy. I read his books and followed him, and he died in a car accident in Texas 2 days ago at the ripe old age of 79. But the Lord is coming back. Our opportunities, time is short. So that's one idea. The Lord's coming back. So how would I act if I knew the Lord was coming back in 5 years? What would be important to me if I knew he was coming back in 5 years? What would I do differently than I do today? I'm saying do it. Do it. Make decisions that are based on eternity, on the realities of the life that we are living. The second thing, if we go to James, one is the Lord's coming back, so opportunities are short. And the second is James chapter 4. In verse 13, come now, you who say today or tomorrow you will go into such and such a city and spend a year there and carry on your business and make money. Verse 14, yet you do not know the least thing about what happens tomorrow. What is the nature of your life? You are really but a wisp of vapor, a puff of smoke that is visible for a while and disappears into thin air. Opportunities are short because Christ is coming back. But number two is, time is short because I'm going to die. Do you think that anyone in Japan, which was the most hustling and bustling economy on our planet, we rebuilt their entire island in the 1950s. They had a very high-tech society. Do you think any of them could have believed that we are going to have an earthquake of 7.3 in the Richter scale, then we're going to be hit with a tsunami, and then we're going to have a nuclear meltdown, and it's all going to happen within 1 week? Could anybody ever have imagined that? That the number of people would die, that their lives would change in a second? You know what? We need to imagine it. Tornadoes went just north of us. A tornado can come and can change my life in a second. Sickness can come and change my life in a second. Anything could happen. Nothing is certain except one thing, and that is the kingdom of God. And that's why the conclusion of this talk is, of this parable is, so seek first the kingdom of God and his righteousness, and these things will be added to you. Where am I going to eat? What am I going to wear? They will be added to you. You know that the majority of our planet lives in a rented home that is owned by the government. Right? The majority, vast majority. We think if you don't own a home, somehow you are impoverished. Or if you rent a house, you have nothing. But do we understand how false that concept is? Maybe you had a house and you thought it was worth this much, and today you wished you never owned it. Because the bank, I owe the bank more than I could sell it for. What happened to your wealth? What happened to your sense of security? God says that we are fools to think like that. Nothing is for certain except the time is short that Christ will return, and one day I will die. And those two things they drive our priorities. They drive our priorities. They govern the decisions that we make, and they cause us to have a blessed life. You know what the psalmist said? Psalm 90, verse 12, he said, Lord, teach me to number my days. Teach me to know the end of my life, so that I might apply myself to wisdom. Help me as a young man to understand how short life is, so that I can make decisions that are based on reality and not based on deception. The deception that somehow I'm secure if I have health insurance, or somehow I'm secure if I have many possessions. I'm here to tell you you're not. It's not security. It's not security. Okay, let's conclude as we wrap this up. So Luke 12:21, he concludes after saying, Thou fool, tonight your soul shall be required of you. Then who shall all these be which you have provided? Verse 21 says, So is he that lays up treasure for himself and is not rich toward God. Treasure for myself and poor towards God. What is it to be rich towards God? There's really three elements that we see in this parable. The first one is that our trust in God. Right? Number one, to be rich towards God is the answer to life. What are you going to do tomorrow? You know what I say? I'm trusting God for tomorrow. I trust God. What do you want me to say? I got it all figured out? What do you want me to say? That my bank account is going to be enough for me? That when I have the most amazing granddaughter. Her name is Lucienne. She's 15 months old. Incredible little girl. Huge, huge dark eyes. Big Italian eyes. And yesterday, my son was there at the park with her, and he turned around for a moment, and she fell and cracked her head really, really hard, and she had this huge purple, bump on her head. And my son thought, oh no, I ruined my daughter. I have hurt her. I have hurt my daughter. Do we have to go to the hospital? Is she going to be okay? Does she have a concussion? And all of a sudden, it's like a little bit like a wake-up call, like a cold shower. Do you see how fragile the whole thing is? The difference between being a sane person and being an insane person is like 0.001% of lithium in your blood. On one side, you're completely sane. A little bit of a change, you're a lunatic. What's holding it all together? Very, very little. What's going through the air? There was once a guy, he was in our church in one of the villages in India, and he had never seen civilization before. And he was going to come to the United States, so they picked him up in an automobile. They said, hey, get in the back seat. The guy sits in the back seat. He'd never been in a car before. Then the guy takes off. The guy's going faster than he's ever traveled in his life. And he's on a road where there are people coming at him. And he's like screaming. And he dove onto the floor believing that we're going to get in an accident because these people are coming right at us. We thought, what? That's nothing. We passed by him. We're 3 feet away from each other. Oh, that's normal life. Yesterday, actually 2 nights ago, I was in my car, and some of the streets cars park on both sides. And I grew up in Hungary, 10 years in Hungary. I didn't grow up there, but I lived there for 10 years. Very narrow streets, and a lot of the tolerances are very small. So this girl's coming at me. I later realized it was a girl. She's coming at me in her late model BMW, maybe a 2004, and mine's a 1991 classic. I'm saying, oh my gosh, this girl is not pulling over. So I get as close as I can, I hear wham! And her mirror like crashed my mirror. My mirror kind of is now shattered in a few pieces. Little tolerances, such a small tolerance between disaster. If it was 6 inches closer, she would have just raked the side of my car. Instead, it was like slam, and my mirror was bent in, and now the motor doesn't work. Which I'm really thankful for, because she could have hit me head on. I mean, the girl was like, "What? You didn't pull over very far." It's like, you got to be kidding me! She's like just afraid. She's like 19 years old, driving a late model BMW. I don't know how she paid for it. She probably didn't. Her parents or something. Anyway, it was okay. But the point is that we don't know when it's going to happen, when life can change. And what is the basis of our life? 1, I trust God. I trust God. What is the answer to the future? I trust God. I put my faith in you. Jesus said, you of little faith. Where is your faith? Put your faith in God. God is the answer. What's going to happen when someone gets sick? What's going to happen? I pray to God. Of course, we go to the doctor and we go to the dentist, and of course, we don't tempt God. But I mean the very essence of life. 1 is we trust God. Number 2 is our relationship with temporal things. A person who is rich toward God is not living for temporal things. I don't care about houses. I don't care about cars. I don't care about fancy clothes. I don't care. Do I like to have quality things? Yes, I do. I have a Mont Blanc. I know it's very nice that they gave to me. But people think I'm rich because I have it. Do I like rich things? I do. But do I care about them? I don't. I can just break it and throw it away and care less. It cannot be the center. I don't care. Oh, I love to ski. If I broke my leg and I could never ski again, I don't really care. Do I like to ski? I don't love to ski. But do I care? I like to play sports. I'm a tennis player, but I'm getting a little bit old. My elbow's getting a little bit rickety, and I don't know if I'm going to be able to play very much. But you know what? I don't care. It's not my life. It's not my life. It can't be. Because if it is, it's too fragile. I wake up in the morning and say, if I can't play tennis, I don't want to live. Or if I can't play football or soccer or whatever it is, I don't want to live. Yeah, we love these things, but natural, temporal things cannot be our goal. And then last one. So 1, our trust in God is our richness toward God. We trust God. 2, our relationship to temporal things. We have no relationship to that. I don't live for any of it. Because God is real, because time is short, and my time is short. And then the third thing then is our relationship to God's kingdom, His coming kingdom. Do we see that time is short? If we have those elements together, then when Jesus says, take no thought for your life, I live stress-free. Where is the stress? We were praying, kids had some AP exams happening this week. The young people, with AP exams, it's like, oh my gosh, it's so stressful.